Hey guys, welcome back to training. Tonight's topic is goal setting, positive visualization, and mantras. And I know this is one that you may be tempted to skip because honestly, when I started coaching, I probably would have been like, whatever, just like get me started on making some money. Like, who cares about setting goals? Let me just like start with selling my first challenge pack. Okay, and maybe that's going to be your goal. But I want you to think bigger than that, okay? And I was the biggest skeptic about goal setting, the biggest skeptic, and it has completely changed my coaching business. So please just suspend your disbelief and give it a try, or just listen with an open mind. So you might need to listen to this and like come back to it later. But I hope that you will go through and do the exercises as you're hearing them, because that's how you will get the most out of it. So we're going to start with some goal setting. Now, I learned this process from a coach named Mindy Wender. If you can look her up, she's super successful and her business grew really fast. She was the one who was making six figures within like 2 years. So she's doing something right. So I did a training with her where she revealed how she sets her goals, and she does this on a weekly, quarterly, and yearly basis. So she writes out her goals every single week. She starts from scratch. She does not look back at what she wrote last week. So if it's so unimportant and trivial that you forget about it before, the next week, then it probably was not an important goal to you anyway. So she starts fresh with a blank page. So then I want you to try this now. So get a notebook, pause the video, get a notebook. And once you have your notebook, turn to a blank page or it might be a few pages, make enough space. But I want you to set some goals in each of the following 10 areas. So these are 10 areas of life that are important for all of us. Some might be more important to you, some less important. Like spirituality is very important to me, but it's not to everybody. Different dimensions of life are more important to different people. But I want you to have like at least one little goal in every area. So I'll read you the 10 areas, write the 10 areas down with space below them for goals. And then once all 10 areas are done, you can pause and think and write some goals. And the 10 areas are family, social, romance. So 3 different kinds of relationships: family, social, romance, professional, financial goals, personal growth, spiritual, so it's not necessarily the same, fun, physical health, and then your physical space, your environment. Is that 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Family, social, romance, professional, financial, personal growth, spiritual, fun, physical health, and physical space, environment. Now, take some time with this. So when I tell you to pause the video, do that and just give yourself as much time as you need. Really green light thinking, okay? Nothing is off the table. In your kind of dream life, what would each of these areas look like for you to feel just thrilled about the way things were going, for your heart to just light up with that sense of joy about the life you are living? So I want you to go someplace comfortable, close your eyes, and visualize what that would look like in each of these areas. And when you've done that, come back. So pause the video now, go run and do that, and I'll be waiting here when you're done. All right, hopefully you paused the video and you're back. You got your goals in your 10 areas. And I understand that can be kind of even a little draining because you go really deep when you're thinking about your heart's deepest desires. Those are your 10 areas. You'll start to know them like the back of your hand. And so you got your big goals now. So I want you to look at the list and write down some action steps. Okay, so if my goal is to be able to leave my full-time job to do coaching full-time, then I can visualize very clearly what a typical day would look like, but what do I need to do to get me there? I know how much money I need to be making before I can do that. So I've broken it down into how many coaches I need on my team, how many customers I need to be helping in a challenge group each month, and I have goals for growing my team each month so that I can get there and on a specific time frame. And if I don't make those goals, I know I have to adjust the time frame. So smaller action steps. And some of these, it can be a little challenging to think of action steps. Like one of my goals is actually friendship, like to have a thriving group of friends here in Madison where I live. For a variety of reasons, that just hasn't been the easiest for me. But it feels kind of like overly analytical and type A to like write down, I have a goal of having friends. But guess what? If you don't focus on it, it's not going to happen. I don't have a big group of friends here because since I moved here, I've spent a lot of time on this business, and maybe I just like need to accept that for now that like most of my friends are people I know online from my coaching business, fellow coaches on my team and stuff. But if I want to have friends that I can like go out for drinks with here in Madison, I need to put some time into meeting people. So I would need to make that a priority if that's one of my top most important goals. So pause again, put down some action steps. And if you have to leave some of them blank, that's okay. I just want you to go through the process for at least some of the goals, even if not every single one. So pause and come back when you're done. And now that you have your goals and action steps, I want you to circle the 5 top priorities, your 5 top goals, and then identify one that is a push goal that if you did this one thing, lots of other stuff would start to fall into place. And you might need some time to think about it. So once again, 5 top priorities, circle them, and identify one push goal, pause and go do that part. Okay, so you've got your 5 top priorities and your push goal. So this is the process. What you just did is what you're going to follow every week. So hopefully, you start to commit the 10 areas to memory, or maybe you don't follow the 10 areas always, but you come back to them every now and then. But once a week, set aside some time, schedule it. I recommend I usually do it. I've been doing it on Thursdays because that's the new week for Beachbody, and I'm like tired from, finishing up getting everyone enrolled in my groups and stuff. A lot of it happens on Wednesday night. So, but maybe it's Sunday night, maybe it's like Saturday morning, whenever it works for you, schedule a weekly appointment. So you make sure that you do this. Schedule the appointment until it becomes a habit. So decide now, when are you going to do this? You can always change your mind later, but, make a tentative decision for something you're going to try. Weekly goal setting. And it doesn't have to take like hours, okay? Just even if you can't go through systematically all 10 areas, start with a blank page, write down 5 things you'd like to accomplish this week. And it's not like get the laundry done, okay? Dream big. The physical space, yes, doing the laundry could count for that, but I want to think about things that are going to really improve our life on a long-term basis. So it could be hire a cleaning lady, because that's going to free up your time to do other things. Even if it's not coaching, it's like working on that novel you've always wanted to write. But the dreams that are deep in your heart, figure out what else you have to do in your life to make space for those to happen. So goal setting each week, okay, with a blank page. I recommend weekly, quarterly, yearly. Like, what do you want your life to look like at the end of the week, at the end of 3 months, at the end of this year? And it can change from week to week. Now, little something about goals. I hated the idea of goal setting when I first started. And it took me a while to figure out why. Like, every time someone would ask me, what are your goals? I was just like, oh, no, don't ask me that. And I don't even want to think about it. I ignored the question. If it's in like a Facebook group about coaching, I would ignore it. If it was on the phone, I would just kind of sidestep. But I refused to actually care and to set goals that I care about. So I finally figured out what was going on. It's because I'm a perfectionist and I'm hard on myself. You might relate to this if you're watching. But every goal I would set, inevitably in life, if we set a lot of goals, we will fall short of them. Maybe even more often than not, if we're setting big goals, like goals that are really like shooting for the moon. So every time I would fall short of a goal, I would feel like a failure. And it got to the point where I just was like, no more goals. I don't want to do this, because I felt such a sense of shame and worthlessness. And I realized that was what I had to undo. It wasn't the goals that were the problem. It was the way I was approaching the goals. So I'm still working on escaping from the guilt and the shame, and just constantly feeling like I am okay. I mean, it sounds kind of corny, but I think a lot of us have that sense deep down that we're not good enough. So if that's something that you struggle with too, first of all, I want you to know that you're not alone. And second, I want you to know that transforming that whole mindset is what's going to help you really go for these goals and achieve them. Because if we're constantly afraid of failing, then we're afraid to jump in with both feet and really try. So just as important as the goals is our mindset about the goals. This video is getting really long, but I want to tell a quick story. I can't even remember where I heard this, but somebody on a coach training call was talking about her father when she was growing up. She would come home and her dad would say, "What did you fail at today?" As though it's just like the most normal question, like, "What did you do at school today?" Only he said, "What did you fail at today?" Because he expected her to have an answer, that she tried something and failed every day. Because that means you're learning, it means you're getting out of your comfort zone. And if we stop seeing failure as such a dirty word, we won't be so afraid of it. So I want you to be trying new things, shooting for the moon, and landing in the stars. Corny as it is, it's true. And, the other thing about, the other story that comes to mind, I always think of babies learning to walk, right? A baby doesn't take its first steps and then fall down and think, "Ooh, that didn't go well, I'm never trying that again." No, the baby can't wait to get up and take a couple more steps and fall again and try over and over and over. So somewhere along the way, we lose that mindset. We become afraid of looking stupid. And I want you to get back to that mindset of childlike wonder, of just excitement to go out there in the world and try even if you fail. Okay? You promise me you're going to work on that? All right, where was I? So we got goal setting and having a healthy relationship with goals, not beating ourselves up if we fail. And the reason I think it's important to have goals in the first place is it reminds us what direction we're moving in. It reminds us that we are moving in some direction. We're not just living life in a directionless way. And you might be surprised how your goals change. We'll get to the topic of success partners in a different video, but when I started working with my success partner, my goal was just diamond. Within the first month of working with her, I was looking beyond like 2-star, elite, 5-star, She got me thinking in a total different way. And it was because we talked about our goals with each other and pushed each other to think bigger. But it's not that because I'm not 5-star right this minute, I'm a failure just because I have this goal. I mean, that's the way I would have seen it at one time. But just knowing what direction we want to move in, then we can break it down into those action steps. If we don't have that bigger goal in mind, if we're just looking at the action steps, then we can lose sight of how the action steps add up and what the goal is, where they're taking us in the end. So start with the big goal. Do yourself a favor and believe in yourself. Believe that it's possible for you. It can change everything for you. So that's why to set goals. Now that you got your goals, you got your top 5, and you got your push goal. Now I want you to pause this video for 2 to 5 minutes after I'm done describing what I want you to do. And I want you to visualize what your life would look like if you achieved these top goals. What would a day in the life be for you? What do you see? What are you wearing? What are you driving? What are you eating? What activities fill your day? Who do you spend time with? How do you feel? How do you look? I want you to get a very vivid visualization of this dream life that you have written down on paper in the form of your goals. So pause the video for 3 to 5 minutes. I'll see you when you come back. All right, now that you have visualized this dream life, which I hope it was awesome, although I know it can be a little scary because, again, it's like, oh, now I have to actually... It's like if we let ourselves believe, we're like afraid to believe and we're afraid to hope. And if you've been disappointed in life, you know, that fear actually, it's a form of PTSD where you had post-traumatic stress disorder, where you had some trauma, like somebody really, really let you down. And so now you're afraid to trust people. Okay. Don't be afraid to trust life. I mean, I know easier said than done, right? But we have to work on trusting that the universe is going to bring us good things, because guess what? If we're always expecting the universe to bring us crappy stuff, our expectations come true. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So learn to expect good things. Again, I'm like throwing all this huge stuff out there that can take years to learn. But just know that it's something that we can work on together. This is part of coaching, part of personal development. Okay, so the last little bit here, you did your positive visualization. So now I want you to write down mantras. And mantras can be similar to goals. You probably will have some that are exactly the same, but it's also personal qualities. So like my mantras were things like, so I thought about the kind of leader I wanted to be on a team of coaches. So I am confident, I am inspiring, I have integrity. Okay, so these are like some things I already had, and other things were things that I aspired to. Like, you know, I am confident. I mean, I don't always feel confident, but I put that as one of my mantras because I do better when I'm feeling confident, and I want to feel that way more of the time. So I think you get the idea. You're writing down your mantras, I am statements about the attributes that you really like about yourself, and then the attributes that you wish you had more of, or that, you know, when you're being your best self, this is who you are. So the I am statements, and then also positive affirmations about your goals, like I am a 2-star diamond coach. Okay, and say it as though it's already true. Because you did this positive visualization of what your dream life would be like, the more you say these statements, the more you start to act as if these things have already happened. So it's hard for people to want to sign on to my team of coaches if I'm posting things about how, like, I'm just getting started, but I hope people will trust me anyway. No, I mean, or like, I hope this works out, giving this a try. No, I have a big vision for this, and I am just looking for the people to join me to help it become reality. And by the way, I am so thankful that you have signed on to be part of that. And I promise that I'll lead us to amazing places. But the more you can act like that person who's living the dream life, pieces of it are going to start to come true for you. I promise. You know, just another example is like, I remember, so I had been seeing, I've seen therapists a bunch of times over the years, but I moved to Madison and had been in therapy for some pretty heavy issues in Boston right before I left. So it was like, big move, life change, got to get set up with a new therapist. So I went, you know, through my insurance, like my first week here, and the person I was assigned to was a psychiatric resident. Like she was like fresh out of med school, and she just lacked confidence. You know, she had all the education, but it was like she was asking me, you know, and like I could see this, and I had been around the block enough to know and to just be nice to her and hope that she learns one day. But it's kind of like, you know, she had all the credentials, but she wasn't acting the part. So not that we should, I don't want to make it sound like I think someone should, you know, say they're a doctor and be practicing medicine when they didn't go to medical school. No, but, and I don't lie about like the number of coaches that are on my team or anything like that. But, you know, the more you can act the part, the more people are going to place their trust in you. They're going to see your vision and get on board with it. And that's what you want. So like if you have this, if you have your goal of being like more of a social butterfly, being confident at parties, well, guess what? If you can go into the party and act confident, you're halfway toward feeling confident. A lot of life is acting, but we don't realize how we get ourselves stuck in ruts. I mean, I'm not saying I'm acting like I'm being fake, but like another example for me is I'm an only child and spent a lot of time by myself. So my outlet was books. I'm really great at writing. I love to read, but the kind of human interaction side of things was a little bit missing for me, you know, like I was great with adults, but my peers not so much. So, when I first started coaching, I kind of had this image of myself that was like a really, really old image of me that I am not good at relating to other people. But coaching had been so important to me, you know, as a participant in groups, I really wanted to share that with other people. I knew that I could do it, but I also had this lack of confidence. And I started, you know, I observed great coaches and I copied them in terms of how they would talk with people and how they would relate with their clients. You know, you can see a little bit of that on their social media or different groups I was in. I was in different kinds of coaching groups myself. Even after I started Beachbody, I did like group coaching with a life coach. I was a participant. And you learn a lot about communication. You just see them in action and you copy it and you learn. So for me, that was just a matter of throwing away that old belief. Okay, I had learned to be compassionate, to listen, to relate, to affirm, to validate, all of these things that are so important in coaching. Those can be learned. And once I learned those behaviors, I was acting like a good coach. I was a good coach. So time to get rid of this mental misconception. You know, I had done the work. I had the credential. I had the skill. But there's still this part of me that thought I'm bad at relating to people. And if I kept letting that get me down, it would have sabotaged me. I had to let go of it. Believe me, it still comes back to haunt me. I mean, pretty often. But I have to recognize that it's false. So that's what I mean with these mantras. I'm not saying you should like lie on your resume, but if you have this picture in your head, it's your mantra, it's just in your head, and you're saying, I am, as if you've already accomplished your goals, I have, you start to feel what it would be like to live that life. And those action steps on the way to the goal will start to happen more easily for you. So, this is the end of my lecture on goal setting. This is one I hope that maybe you'll save and come back to because it really has become more meaningful. Like here, I'm making this video spring of 2015. And really only a couple of months ago did everything click into place for me. So a year into coaching for me, did I really get on board with goal setting. So I understand right now if you think it's complete bullshit, and even if you want to tell me that, that's cool. I would rather know and know where you're at. I'm not going to try and convince you. Over time, I hope that maybe you'll come around and, you know, like I did, but I needed to do that in my own time. So I'm not going to push you. But just know that this is something that's really meaningful for me. And if you are hitting a wall in your business, revisit this video because I really think it could help. All right, I'll get off my soapbox for tonight. See you in the next video.